Good evening, baseball fans. It is Wednesday. Is it Wednesday? I think it's Wednesday. Wednesday, February 14th, also known as Pitchers and Catchers Report Day. It's not Valentine's Day. It's not Valentine's Day. We don't really celebrate Valentine's Day over here because, I treat my husband like a great human being on all of the days and vice versa. So we don't really need Valentine's Day. Although I did get strawberry dipped chocolates. That's not it.
Chocolate
Dipped strawberries. Chocolate dipped strawberries. I got those. They were delicious.
I imagine
But
the other way around would be good too.
Probably. But then would it just be like a chunk of chocolate dipped in straw? That's what I'm imagining now. Anyhow, pitchers and catchers reported today. Before I get into that, though, I'm Suzy. That's Tom. This is Bourbon and Baseball. And I should probably give you the warning. This is a rated R podcast for all of the adult content. Not that adult content, like nothing OnlyFans over here. Just cuss words, maybe some inappropriate adult humor, because that's just how I am as a human being. So if that's not your jam, that's okay. Just, you should probably turn this off, or if there's like tiny ears around, you should probably put some sort of earmuffs or listen to this on earphones or earphones. I'm 90 years old, apparently. Earbuds. Thank you, earbuds. It's late, guys. I've just been so excited about all of the pitchers and catchers reporting that I no longer know how to use words. So, I had a lot of homework to do today, Tom, and I only got like a quarter of it done because I kept like refreshing Twitter to see all of the reports from Brian McTaggart and Sports 790 and various other people that I didn't even know existed in the Houston sports market that I now have to follow on Twitter because they all had something a little bit different. And I was all, well, shit, now I got to follow everybody. So, biggest thing to come out of this today, if you have not followed on Twitter, is arm soreness. Arm soreness for our apparently over-the-hill ace, Justin Verlander. And then it came out a little bit later that JP France also had some arm soreness. And then it turned into everybody had shoulder soreness. And by everybody, I really mean Justin Verlander and JP France. So thoughts on that, Tom? Thoughts on the shoulder soreness?
I mean, I watched the interview that JV had, and I did not see him look concerned. He kind of acted like it's just something I'm dealing with. So I'm not pressed. I'm not concerned yet. I feel like if we don't see him, I mean, if there's going to be like a long wait before he's visible throwing, then I got problems. If he's just, like he said, a couple weeks behind schedule and he starts 3 weeks into spring training to actually throw and then maybe gets a start or two in and he's not ready for opening day, not concerned. If they say, we're just going to slowly ease him in, something like that, not concerned. This is a guy you need for October. Yes, he's your ace. Yes, he should start opening day. However, you know that this team is built for the long haul. It's built to get to the postseason and contend for a World Series. So health is like my biggest concern with this team. And if JV's got to go on the shelf for a little bit, and that's all it's going to be is a little bit, there's so much depth within the rotation, in my opinion, that you can afford to not have JV for the entire season. So short
not the entire season.
Well, I mean, a chunk of it. But you know what I mean? Short of something catastrophic where he needs season-ending surgery, I'm not concerned.
Okay, that's fair. So if you didn't catch any of the footage today, he was actually throwing. He was throwing off the flat ground. So I'm not overly concerned. Like once I heard it, okay, so let me rewind. Brian McTaggart tweeted it out. And then Chicken Little entered my brain. And I was like, super. I couldn't just have one fucking day, just one fucking day of like let's fucking go. Everything's good. Like, we got all the thing. And then the interview saying, that he's just a couple weeks behind schedule. He had a couple of hiccups, and I'm all right, like, that's fine. And then the, footage of him throwing off a flat ground, and I was like, okay, all right, like, he's throwing, that's fine. Something to be aware of, though, I was listening to another podcast that had Kevin Thompson on, who is part of the Diamondbacks bullpen, and he had thoracic outlet syndrome surgery last season, and he went on to say, I'm going to tie this all together. Everyone's like, hurry the fuck up, Suzy. He went on to say that he didn't think that he actually needed it because it was just like his shoulder hurt. It wasn't the various other symptoms of this thoracic outlet syndrome, blah, blah, blah. And he basically pitched the majority of last season with his shoulder being sore. And it came out that it was basically the way that he took the ball out of his glove. He was like tensing a little bit or something like that, which put tension on some tendon, something or another. And once they figured that out, and once he like changed that motion, the shoulder soreness went away. Now, am I saying that this is what it is? No. However, JV is 40 as of today. I think his birthday's in a couple of days, so he will be 41 very shortly, which in baseball years makes you 94 years old. So things are not going to regenerate as easily as they once did. But it may just be as simple as the motion of him taking the ball out of the glove and tensing weirdly, and that's what it is. So like you, Tom, I'm not overly concerned. My one, not pressing concern, but my one like nagging, okay, I'm fine with him not throwing because we do need him into October, is the fact that I need him comfortable throwing to Yainer. I need those reps. And I don't know if you can simulate that in, say, like a bullpen. I mean, granted, like, spring training isn't, I guess, much better than bullpen. However, it's still a game situation. So I need them to be comfortable with one another. Because I don't want anybody out here saying, oh, JV's results or the reason JV is not throwing well is because he doesn't have his catcher behind him, and that just I need to squash all that. So that's my only like one nagging kind of concern, is that he's not going to get those reps with Yainer or Victor Caratini.
My thing about that, which I hope it comes to light this season, I don't think that was ever an issue last season. I think there was one individual that had that issue, and I think it was, the manager. If it was anybody else, it probably wouldn't have been an issue. So JV's thrown to other catchers throughout his entire career. I don't feel like Yainer is this guy that, well, we don't speak the same language and I have to figure him out. I think they're going to be perfectly fine. I don't think anybody's going to have an issue throwing to Yainer, especially because he's just a freak athlete behind the plate. And I think he's a really good catcher. So I just need JV healthy. If they have issues at some point, well, I hope it's in July on a Wednesday in a game where the Astros score 78 runs and they give up 4. Whatever.
That's fair. That's fair. So again, I think the depth of our starting rotation is fine. Would I be more comfortable if we went out and signed a Blake Snell or Jordan Montgomery? Absolutely. Am I comfortable with the money that's going to be given up for that? No, absolutely not. Now, the Boris 4 or whatever the fuck you want to call them is still not signed. And a part of me is thinking that the longer it goes on, the more the price tag is going to drop. Because while they've made some money, I mean, all of them have made some money, I have to feel like they are antsy as it is as well, that they want to know where they're going. Their family would like to know where they're going. Well, except for Jordan Montgomery's family, who's not moving because his wife is doing residency in Boston. But it's one of those things where, like, TikTok, motherfuckers, like, let's go. But maybe that's just me, and maybe Boris is like, hey, don't worry, I'm getting you all of the monies. I don't know.
Well, the interesting thing about that is you saw Carlos Correa do something very similar, and he ended up getting money from the Twins, but it was Twins. I think the names you spoke to, those are all guys that have played for teams that were expected to contend, deep into the postseason and even a World Series. And I feel like that's the type of teams that they're going to want to go to. And those teams are going to be less inclined to want to pay premium dollar the longer this drags on. So I think, like you said, tick, tick, because at some point the Boris is going to call and they're not going to answer. And then it's going to be like, well, I can get you to Minnesota or I can get you to Chicago. Do you want to go there?
Right.
No.
Right.
So I don't know.
Well, according to reports, the Rangers are out. The Rangers are apparently, the TV money has not been settled or whatnot, and they're monitoring, quote unquote, the situation for Jordan Montgomery. So a reunion with them doesn't look likely. Again, Boston, I don't know what you're doing, Boston. You got the Netflix documentary coming. My hot take is that they're gonna go out and sign Trevor Bauer because they need eyeballs in this Netflix documentary. So that's my hot take. For anybody that is saying that the Astros need to sign Trevor Bauer, I kindly, respectfully need you to shut the fuck up. Just no. Just absolutely not. Just abso-fucking-lutely not. And for those that are saying, yeah, no, we need to sign Trevor Bauer because we want to win. I have problems. I have many problems with that. Too long to list. But just suffice it to say that I don't think that the PR nightmare that will come along with that firestorm, not worth it. And two, I think the clubhouse nature of which chemistry that we have built, that everyone has said is there, I think is going to be thrown out of whack. And I'm not about that. Not about that. So you can say I don't know ball or I don't want to win enough or what the fuck ever. We're never going to change each other's minds on that. So just know that I'm judging you. Just know. And that probably means nothing to you, but
And listen, imagine every time somebody's in front of the microphone, hey, what do you think about, Trevor Bauer being on the Astros? Or, hey, how do you feel? Those are questions guys don't want to answer. They just want to play ball. Like,
yeah,
regardless of what you think of his situation. I mean, there are people that think, whatever, it wasn't real, blah, 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 whatever. It's the fact that the questions are going to be there, the constant demand, that it's stress you don't need. You just want to be able to focus on your game, and he's a constant distraction. And for whatever you think you gain from that, from his talent, which I won't argue that he has it, it's just not worth it. It's not worth it. I mean, me personally, I think I kind of feel like Suzy does. I don't want that guy anywhere near my organization ever. But I mean, even if I was just trying to take all of that out of it and just the player, I just feel like it's not worth it. It's just not worth it. So when you think about the Astros and, now they're down potentially 2 starters, that's probably, for me, in my opinion, the one place the Astros have depth that they can pull from to potentially work their way through it. And then, obviously there's guys that in July are scheduled to return. And then that's just more. So you really only have to cover 2 months worth of baseball until you get Luis Garcia and Lance McCullers, who are your guys.
Yep. And really and truly, I mean, Fangraphs roster resource had Jose Urquidy as our 5th starter versus JP France. And JP France looked like he was going to get bumped to the bullpen. So, as it stands, what Fromber is opening day starter. Like, that's okay. That's not much of a regression there. We had the ifs in our rotation. Christian Javier. Listen, Christian Javier this was his first full season. Last season was his first full season of actually being a starter. I think he pitched 168 innings, 164 innings. Let me double check that. 160. Where are you? If I could read, that would be delightful. 162 innings, as opposed to his 22 season where he pitched 148 innings, and that was that swingman season where sometimes he started, sometimes he came out of the bullpen, so the fact that that vertical break dropped just a little bit, because I really honestly think that he was just fucking tired, and he pitched in the World Baseball Classic. So I'm not going to say that he is going to, come back and be that lights out, pitcher that, threw no-hit innings. However, I don't think he's going to be as bad, quote unquote, as he was at the end of the season. And when I say bad, he ended up with a 4.56 ERA. Like, that's not horrible. We're talking as if he has like a 9 ERA over here, and that's not it. I think we've just have been so conditioned and so used to our pitchers being awesome and, lights out, that maybe we get a little bit spoiled. Just a little bit, maybe. I don't know.
And I mean, you have to think about a lot of these guys. And I think it's something that wasn't talked about enough. And the Astros are probably one of only a few teams that this really concerned. But when you think about the season before the World Baseball Classic, the World Series went all the way into November. So you think these guys had 45 days off of baseball, then got right back into the World Baseball Classic, which it's not spring training. These are high leverage. You are competing for your country. So there's a different level to it, right? Different amount of stress put on your body. And then they went into a full season. So when you talk about those pitchers, you can understand why the fatigue was there. Hell, when you look at a guy like Kyle Tucker towards the end of his season, I felt like that had a lot to do with him too. So
absolutely.
for all the people that say, well, what about CJ and what about Framber and things of that nature, you have to take all of that into consideration. The Astros have played more baseball than any other team over the last 6 years. So that's going to wear on you no matter how young or old you are.
Yep. Same thing with Hunter Brown. Hunter Brown, again, we talk about comfortability. That's not a word. How comfortable. There we go. How comfortable the pitchers were with catchers. And that was part of the quote unquote issue last season. And, Hunter Brown was more comfortable throwing to Yainer, and then he didn't end up throwing to Yainer for most of the season, So, and he also pitched way more innings than what was projected. I think he also will have a bounce back year. And I think a full year of him kind of talking to JV day in and day out and just getting that tutelage, I think is going to be priceless as well. So we've got the starters. Ronell is there that could possibly be stretched out again. Brandon Bielak, for as much shit as I give him, he's an
All of
innings
it.
eater, right? Yeah. I'm so sorry, Brandon Bielak. I truly am. Like, I think that you're a great guy. But he's that's what he is, right? Like, he's an innings eater. He is a fifth starter in 90% of the rotations out there, and you need those guys. Obviously, we need these guys. So, we've got Brandon Bielak that can eat innings. We've got Ronell that can be stretched out again. Spencer Arrighetti, could he become
Hunter Brown,
a swing man? Yep. And break with the club. There's lots of things happening. There's lots of things going on. We've still got, fourth, fifth, sixth innings relief pitchers to kind of figure out who's going to eat those innings. Dylan Coleman, Forrest Whitley, Bennett Souza. There are some non-roster invitees that may be getting some of those looks in spring training. Those would be, let's see, Luis Contreras, Taylor Scott, Wander Suero, Colton Gordon, and Rhett Kuba. So all of those, well, and I already mentioned Spencer Arrighetti, but all of those were spring training invitees. So we will see how they perform, how that sets up. It is apparently official. Joe Espada had a meeting with Josh Hader and Ryan Presley, and Josh Hader is our closer. We kind of all assumed that was going to be the situation. You don't pay a guy $95 million to be your setup man. He did say that, if the nights that Josh Hader doesn't close, obviously Ryan Presley closes, but right, like that, how you're just gonna bump up the best postseason closer to your setup man, and then Brian Abreu gets bumped from the 8th inning to the 7th. Like, that is filthy. So 7, 8, 9 is going to be filthy. So we just need to kind of bridge that gap to get to the 7th inning, and we'll be okay. We'll be okay. And again, I think there's going to be kind of the quote unquote co-closer role. Like, if Rafael Montero can come back and be 2022 Montero, that would be delightful. That would be great.
Think about it for Montero too. Moving him to that 6th, 5th inning, that's less leverage. So a guy like that, the stuff is there. And if he's facing 7, 8, 9 in the 6th inning, that's probably going to be more effective. Think Ryan Stanek 2 years ago when everybody's like, oh my God, he's a 1 ERA. And everybody's like, why aren't they pitching anymore? But the thing that a lot of people didn't notice is that he was getting a lot of the 5th, 6th inning stuff, low leverage stuff, and he was just taking care of business. Montero could be that dude again. And I think this bullpen is part of the reason why you shouldn't worry so much about the rotation, because all they have to do is have the lead in the 7th inning, and you feel really confident about your chances. And then when you think about this offense, and now they're getting a catcher with pop, a catcher that can hit for average, a catcher that can probably steal bases. I mean, I think they're going to score way more runs than they did last year, and everybody thought they was going to score a ton of runs last year. So they don't have to be great. The starters don't have to be great for this team early on, anyway.
Yeah. I think. Do you find it weird? Not weird. Maybe curious. Maybe curious. Maybe curious is the wrong word than I'm looking for. I find it. I'm fine. Curious it is because it is almost 9:00 at night and the Adderall has fully worn the fuck off. That Ryan Presley has not talked at all about this situation.
I don't find it curious at all. If anybody tells you that they don't want that and they're okay with somebody taking their job, they're lying to you. In private moments that he'll never speak to, that no one will ever talk about, Ryan Presley's not happy. He's going to do what he needs to do for the team. He is a consummate professional. He's going to say all the right things. He's going to do all the right things. He's probably going to shove every eighth inning. And it's going to look like it's not a big deal. However, nobody wants their job taken. Not when you're the best. Not when you're a competitor, not when you're a closer. Those guys are set up that way. They know he's going along to get along, that type of deal. But I gotta believe he's not happy. And I understand him not talking. I understand him not wanting to answer that question. Eventually he will, and eventually he'll say all the right things. Right now, it's still too soon. It's just too soon.
That's fair. That's fair. Now, nobody come for me. Like, I don't think that he needs to be up there, like, answering questions. I find it curious that, and everybody has said, Joe Espada has said, Dana Brown has said, Jim Crane has said, that Ryan has said that whatever's good for the team. The whole goal is to win another trophy, right? And this is the best way. But it's got to sting. I'm just saying, like, Ryan Presley, you will forever be America's closer in my heart.
And I'm still looking forward to them closing games, just like you said.
Mm-hmm.
I cannot wait for the first game where it's him and God's going to cut you down. It's going to come on and the lights are going to go out and Minute Maid is going to go bananas because their dude is back on. It's going to be like chills, goosebumps, the whole nine. Because it's like, oh my gosh, we're getting our closer. Nothing against Hader. Hader's probably going to have an electric intro and we're going to fall in love with that too. But the time that Ryan Presley closes and his music comes on, I hope I'm there.
What do you think Josh Hader's song is going to be?
So did you see that he said he doesn't have one?
Yeah, that's why I'm asking.
He strikes me as a rock and roll type dude with the hair, with the the tats down his arm. It could be a country thing. I think it's gonna be something rock-ish. I don't know what, but yeah.
Yeah. He's a big hunter. He's a big bow hunter. Him and JP France apparently just gonna trade bow hunting tips. I don't actually think that's a thing, but maybe. I don't know.
You mean they're gonna be in the same blind or whatever? They're gonna be out there together. Are you kidding me?
Maybe. I don't know. Well, I know Hader and Corbin Burns are best friends, or really good friends, and they like go hunting together. Anyways. This whole Bregman thing. I need you guys to hear me. Okay? I need you to hear what I'm saying, and I need you guys to process these words. Alex Bregman is not staying in Houston unless Jim Crane throws $40 bajillion at him. Okay? He is literally the only third baseman that's going to be a free agent next season. The only. Not even like the only good one, like the only third baseman that's going to be a free agent next season. He's gonna get a bag. He's gonna go off this season because that's how it always works out, right? Everybody goes off their walk year. He's gonna go off and he's gonna get a bag. So I need everyone to gird their loins and protect their hearts, okay? And I need you guys to get ready to see Alex Bregman in another jersey next season, and it's gonna hurt. It's gonna hurt a lot of you. It's gonna hurt. Don't ask me where he's going. I don't know. I haven't dug that deep then.
So I got to ask you a question then.
Okay.
Well, it's two parts. What do you think, just ballpark, what do you think that number will be based on what he makes now? He makes 30. So what do you think that number will be? And B, if the Astros come in like 4 or 5 million AAV under that number, and the other club is, say, I'm trying to think of it, say it's the Cubs, do you think he takes the bag? Or the bigger bag, I guess. It's a bag either way. I feel like the way Dana's talking, the way Jim Crane's talking, I think they're going to make him a competitive offer. I just wonder if he's going to leave for $4 or $5 million more a year than basically retire an Astro. And I know it's hypothetical, but I'm just curious your thoughts, Suzy.
Well,
Ball
okay.
knower.
So let's see. Okay, let me ask you this.
You're going to answer my question with a question?
I am.
Okay.
Because it's my show and I get to do whatever the fuck I want.
Yes, ma'am.
What do you think that he is a better player than Manny Machado?
I'm biased on that. Yes. I don't know that the numbers are crazy, like between the two. Like, he probably has better numbers than Manny. I don't know. Are you comparing them right now? Is that this look I'm getting?
I'm trying to. Yeah. If I can find the box.
The question
That
is,
sounds weird.
what does Manny make now? And yeah, that's what she said.
Mhm.
And what is his age, like, relative? Like, obviously, you needed apples to apples.
Okay, so Manny Machado right now is 31, and he is making $13 million for the base salary. In his age 33 season, he's going to make 21 million, and then it bumps up to 35 million starting in his age 34 season. So now, granted, Manny Machado got that 11-year, $350 million contract. So I get it. It's not apples to apples here. It's apples to oranges. I understand. For the people that are like, she doesn't know what she's talking about. Okay. I realize. Now, Manny Machado is a almost double the player that Alex Bregman is. So in his career, Manny Machado has 54.9 WAR compared to Alex Bregman's 35.4 WAR. Now, granted, he has almost. This is not a math pod. I am not that Asian. Manny Machado has 1,583 games played versus Alex Bregman's 966. So essentially 600 more games. I'm rounding for ease sake. Plate appearances, he almost has almost 3,000 more plate appearances. So again, not apples to apples, guys. I understand. But, home runs, 313 to 165 RBIs. So let me just look at last season here. Maybe. Because, I mean, like, really and truly, when you start naming really good offensive, defensive third baseman, there's not that many, right? Like, I'm talking Manny Machado, Nolan Arenado, Austin Riley, Bregman. Who else?
So the guy that I would think you'd have to compare him to, because he recently got paid, and I don't think he's the player that Bregman is Rafael Devers. And when you look at Rafael Devers' contract, he's making 27 and a half this year, 27 and a half next year, but he's younger. And then in his age 30 season on, which is like 3 years from now, he's really young. It's 31, 31, 31, then 29, 29, 29. So I got to believe that's what, I mean, he's looking for probably that kind of money for the rest of his career. Now, I think it's got to taper at some point, but say for argument's sake, the Astros offer him 7 years at $200 million. And it's kind of laid out to where he's making 32, 32, 32, and then it's like 28, 28, 28, 28, whatever. You know what I mean? He gets a bump for the next 3 or 4 years, and then it gradually breaks off. I can see them offering him that, and I could see some other team offering, say, 210 for the same 7 years. And are you really gonna like AAV $3 or $4 million? Go, no, I need the 210. That's the scenario where I see Bregman still a Stro. I feel like the Astros are gonna do their damnedest, more than I ever did with Click, to retain Bregman and Tucker. I really do.
Okay, so then the question is then, do you think that they're going to try and retain Bregman because there's no one coming up in the system? And if we had somebody coming up in the system, we would not? Because Dana has said, no, we're going to make them offers. However, we made George Springer offers. We made Carlos Correa offers. We made, not saying that they were competitive, but we let them walk because we had guys coming up.
So Jim Crane spoke to that, and he said they wanted different things. He said those guys either wanted to get closer to home or they really wanted to earn the most money they could. He kind of spoke to it, and it just depends on what Bregman wants. If he wants the biggest bag he can find, then that's what he'll go get. But the reading the tea leaves, I feel like, and I could be way off, they could offer him, 7 years, 180, and he could be like, yeah, whatever, kick rocks. I feel like there's a competitive offer because the way Dana Brown talked about him, he's a cornerstone, he's a pillar. He talked about him in the same vein as Altuve. And I think he wouldn't have said those things. I feel like he's pretty calculated with his words if he didn't feel like, hey, I need to retain this guy. I don't know that the farm system matters as much because you could always go trade for a third baseman if you had to. But I believe that they're at least going to try to keep Bregman. And then Tucker, Jim Crane talked about that too. Well, we've got 2 more years. We're going to play the wait and see game. I don't know that that's smart, but because you got a discount, I think, on Jordan getting him early. I think you would get the same discount with Tucker if you dealt with him now, as opposed to waiting like you did with Bregman and Altuve. Now, Altuve was different, and their agent, talked to it. He's like, Altuve wanted the end of his career. Bregman, he still has a much lengthier career in front of him, so he's going to want the lengthier deal. I really feel like the odd man out, because this was posed on Twitter to me and you by somebody, I wish I could remember his name. I think it was Hill, something Hill. I can't think.
Oh,
Dr. Thrill.
Josh's dad,
Yeah.
Dr. Thrill. Yeah.
Yes. He said there's three guys: Bregman, Tucker, Framber. Who do the Stros keep? Of those three, I feel like Framber is the guy that's more likely to be replaced within the system. And of those three, I think it's the easiest to replace in general. And I know he's a lefty. When he's dominant, he's dominant. And lefties don't grow on trees. I get that as a lefty. But I don't know where you find power hitting right fielders that can steal 30 bags and play good defense. I don't know. I definitely don't know where you find Gold Glove third baseman who probably should have 2 Gold Gloves by now and doesn't, and hits for, power and all the things. So we'll see.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, I always kind of side eye the Gold Gloves when Juan Soto gets one. So,
how Bregman doesn't have a Gold Glove is absolutely criminal.
Yeah. Side note, the last season, Alex Bregman was a better player than Manny Machado.
And Bregman's going to use that. He's going to use all of that to get the bag. The real question I ask myself is who's going to offer it to him that can compete? Because I don't see Bregman taking a step back a la Correa, even though I don't think Correa wanted to. I think he had some injury stuff that probably hurt him. And I think that has something to do with this too, right? I think the Astros are trying really, really hard to wait and see, because injuries happen. And then that's a bargaining chip. You know what I mean? So,
right. Yeah. Well, if I was super dedicated to my craft and podcasting, I would go and look and compare all third basemen and who needs a third baseman next season. However, I neither have the time nor the energy or the brain cells really to do that. So maybe this next week, if someone reminds me and hits me up on Twitter and I avoid my homework long enough, I will ADHD my way into researching that instead of doing my homework. But who's playing third for the Blue Jays? Where's MattChapman going? These are the questions that I would like to know. I still say that the Giants sign MattChapman. That's what I'm saying. Anyhow, okay. I think that's all of the news and notes from Pitchers and Catchers report date. Oh, side note, my favorite center fielder, who should be the center fielder, the starting opening day center fielder, reported today. He didn't need to. No, he didn't need to because, again, he's an outfielder. But ChasMcCormick, come on down. Just got married last week. That's dedication right there. That is dedication right there. And, now he's a pitcher. Next Shohei Ohtani right here, baby. ChasMcCormick. They did interview Jake, though. And apparently Jake says that he's feeling good. He laughingly said that he was in the best shape of his life. I don't give a fuck about what shape you're in, Jake. I care about how your mental state is, sir. Respectfully. Because really and truly, that's where the problem is, right? We all know. I think his arms come back, and I think all of his issues lie within his brain. So I need him to, I don't know, take all the deep breaths, talk to Fromber's mental health coach or whatever. Get it right. Get it tight. We shall see.
How many games do you give Jake? How long do you
None.
let that? No. He's the starter. We've already discussed this. They've already discussed this. At what
I don't
point?
want to.
At what point do you pull the plug on Jake Myers? If he struggles, how? I mean,
I don't.
You're gonna have Doobie. You're gonna have Doobie watching. You're gonna have Chaz in left, there or not in left because they're talking about playing Jordan a ton in left. How many games? What leash does Jake Myers get? Because in that interview, I saw a dude that was looking over his shoulder, meant like physically, like his body language was not great. Like he didn't want to have that interview at all. And I think there is so much pressure, and you can just see it on his face. Maybe it's just me. There's so much pressure on him internally. Like he knows, like Chaz is coming for him. He knows Doobie's coming for him. And it's like they are trying to get his mind right. And all he can think about is what's behind him, chasing him. So how many games do you think Joe Espada gives before he goes and gets Chaz and goes, "You're my center fielder"? Realistically.
I don't know. I honestly don't know. I don't think that I can rationally, impartially give you a number that does not skew to fuck Jake Myers, give center field to Chaz, because of all of the disrespect that Chaz has had to endure this last season. I don't know, maybe like opening like April, like spring training in April. And then I think
because you saw how the season starts out. You've seen the schedule. He's going to have to go and deal with the Yankees top, 3, 4, which is Garrett Cole. I mean, he's not going to, I don't think he's going to have great success against these guys. Then I think it's the Blue Jays right after that, right? So.
Okay, well, now if we're talking about rotations, like Yankees rotation doesn't fucking scare me. Yankee fans.
The top of it is going to be good. The bottom of it, not so much.
Garrett Cole, absolutely. Like, yes. Kermit the Frog does put a little bit of fear into my heart, okay? Not gonna lie. However, if your number 2 is Carlos Rodon and he's not San Francisco Giants Carlos Rodon and he's last season Carlos Rodon, like, what are we doing here? Marcus Stroman, okay. Like, that's a maybe. Clark Schmidt is your 4, and then Nestor Cortez is your 5. So you're going to see Garrett Cole, Carlos Rodon, and Marcus Stroman? Is it a 3-game series? It's a 3-game series, right?
I gotta look it up now.
I'm not shaking in my boots.
For me, it's not the rest of the roster that I worry about. I'm just talking about him. Just talking about ChasMcCormick struggling with that. Like, I got to go in there and produce.
Jake Myers?
I'm sorry. I keep saying Chaz because I want him to play. Jake Myers, yes. Jake Myers.
Yeah, I don't know. I think you give him April. You give him spring training in April, and then I don't know. I guess I don't even know what you do with them. Honestly, no. He needs to go. He needs to go, and he needs a clean slate on another team. Like the old adage of change of scenery or whatever. It has not been made, or it has been expressly made for the situation for Jake Myers. Now, like, I have Jake Myers cards, like autographed cards. Do you see them back here? Okay. If you are on the YouTubes, go look. Okay. Audio only people, I'm very sorry. I have many a Jake Myers cards. Okay. I want to say I have an autographed Jake Myers 8x10 floating around somewhere here too. Because when Jake Myers came on the scene, I was on the Jake train. Okay. Like, I was conducting that bitch. and then he got hurt. And then he came back and he was not the same Jake. And I'm sorry, but he hasn't been the same Jake. And in the meantime, Chaz is over here like, the fuck I gotta do? What the fuck do I have to do? I'm here. I've been working. What else do you need to see? And that hurts kind of my soul for ChasMcCormick. Okay.
So
Just give him all of the meatloaf and banana pudding.
The schedule breaks out. It's 4 against the Yankees, 3 against the Blue Jays, and then 4 against the Rangers.
Okay, so we're gonna see Garrett Cole, Carlos Rodon, Marcus Stroman, and Clark Schmidt. Okay. Blue Jays, what is that? Kevin Gausman, Jose Barrios.
Maybe not the ace. You probably it'll probably rotate around, right? So they're gonna play 3 or 4 games somewhere else first as well, and maybe you catch 3, 4, 5, something like that. I don't know. I'm just saying, like, I don't think he's gonna get somebody with a 7 ERA that he's gonna get to tee off on right away. And if he's batting 205, 12 games into the season, what are you doing?
Blue Jays rotation is Kevin Gausman, Jose Barrios, Chris Bassett, Yusei Kikuchi, and Alek Manoah. Now you've got what's his bucket that may be thrown in there? Yariel Rodriguez as maybe their 5 instead of Alek Manoah, depending on, I guess, what Alek Manoah does. That would be interesting. Has Alek Manoah showed up for camp?
It's a good question.
Not. I will have to look at that after we get done recording. So, there's that. And then don't even get me fucking started on the goddamn Texas Rangers rotation. Like, what
Speaking
you have
of head cases.
You got fucking Nathan Eovaldi. Like, what are we doing here?
They ran out of money. They spent it all on Corey Seager and Marcus Semien and a couple of pitchers that aren't going to get to play. I mean, they can't spend any more money.
Nathan Eovaldi, John Gray, Andrew Heaney, Dane Dunning, Cody Bradford. At no point in time does that lineup scare me. Now, if there are Rangers fans listening to this, I don't know why there would be, but if there's Rangers fans listening to this, they're going to call me out and be like, "Oh my God, Suzy, but we took care of you and blah, 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 blah." Okay. The only person I'm scared of in that lineup is Nathan Eovaldi. Like, don't get it fucking twisted. Okay. Now, come All-Star break, when Jacob deGrom and Max Scherzer and not Tommy Kahnle, Tyler Mahle, there we go. Tyler Mahle come back and replace Dane Dunning and Cody Bradford and Andrew Heaney, and John Gray is now your 5. Okay, then we can talk. All right, like, that rotation right there is scary. But again, those are big if guys as well. So, it's 6-1, half a dozen of the other, y'all. What really cracks me up is that all of these, like, the Pacoda projections and fan graphs and Ross, like all of the, like, Baseball Savant, all of these projections have the Astros basically winning the AL West / winning the AL, and the Rangers taking a big step back. Now, a lot of those are, what did they say? They like to err on the side of caution. Okay. But when you have the Rangers, the reigning World Series champion, and they have them projected winning like 83 games, I got some side eye for it, because I'm all, wait, what? Huh? But again, that rotation is not scary. And while the top of their lineup is a little tough, the bottom of the lineup is less tough.
They had some guys with some career years in there too. And then the one thing that I think really probably is the more concerning thing for the Rangers and why their projection is low is what happened with that bullpen. Like, I don't think their bullpen is going to be. They've got Leclerc as the closer, and then what? That's really it. So they got to get to
Josh
him.
Sborz. I mean, they got Josh Sborz. They got David Robertson. They signed David Robertson. They got Kirby Yates. They got some older-ish guys in there. Let's be really honest. Come All-Star break, trade deadline, you're probably going to see a variety of bullpen moved over. And then, again, at the All-Star break when Max Scherzer and Jacob deGrom come back and Tyler Mahle come back, Dane Dunning and Cody Bradford and Andrew Heaney are going to get bumped to the bullpen. And that is now a more scary bullpen. So, I don't know. I'm not afraid of the Rangers. If anything, if anybody that I'm afraid of, quote unquote, in the AL, it's gonna be the Orioles. However, when you got Craig Kimbrell as your closer,
I don't think that'll last though. I imagine they'll get their closer back like All-Star break too.
I don't think so. I think he's out. Bautista? He had Tommy John.
Yeah, last year.
I don't think but I think he's out this entire season. I'm almost positive. I mean,
well, if nothing else, their setup guy was really good as a closer.
That is true. But I want to say that they tried him in the closer role a couple of times, and I don't think he did great, but that may be just like a mindset thing. I don't know. Out of all of the people that I follow on Twitter, I don't think I follow any Baltimore Orioles people, and I think I need to change that.
You're right. He'll miss the entire season. Yep. 9 hours ago, somebody asked the question.
When he came in last season, and it was like a 1-2 punch with Cano and Bautista. Like, if the Orioles had the lead, you were kind of fucked. There was just no getting around that. And now it feels less good when Craig Kimbrell is your closer and Yennier Cano is your setup guy. Like, I wonder if they can switch Yennier Cano's mindset into being like, hey, I need you to be the closer and Craig Kimbrell to be the setup guy. But I mean, they're paying Craig Kimbrell $13, I think. If you guys know, put it in the comments. Put it in the YouTube comments, because I don't feel very comfortable with Craig Kimbrell as the closer.
But I mean, $13 million is what the Astros pay Rafael Montero, or they basically pay Rafael Montero. So saying that he can't be moved, and now with new ownership in Baltimore, saying that they can't go out and get a closer, I mean, that could be a move they make at the trade deadline.
It's true. It's true. I mean, shit. If the Brewers don't do shit, Devin Williams,
the Airbender,
come on down. Then at that point, the Orioles will not be stopped, and they will win 174 games. Don't come for me. I know there's only 162 in a season. But really and truly, like, it's going to be a dogfight between us and the Rangers. I've said it before. I don't think the Mariners are going to be an issue. Angels. I'm sorry, Angels. Athletics. Come on now. And I mean, like, AL Central. No. And then that AL East, I mean, you're looking at Yankees, Blue Jays, Orioles. And the Rays
Tampa.
are like, the fuck? What are we? Sorry, Rays. You ain't it either.
They're going to be in every game, though. They pitch.
They are. Phil Maton is not going to be on the Rays come trade deadline. He is going to be traded to a contender. That's my other hot take. They're going to tweak his curveball, and Dexter is going to end up somewhere else. I don't know. But I don't think it's going to be as bad as Chicken Little is predicting it to be. So, I don't know. No, we shall see. I can't wait for actual spring training games to start, though. Very excited about those. Very excited. Do you watch spring training games?
I try to watch all the baseball when I can. I watch it all. I don't care. One day, Suzy, Bourbon and Baseball will be in Florida for spring training.
Yes, on somebody else's dime. That would be delightful.
Even better.
Yeah. Unfortunately, I have to save money for two children's colleges. That's not like, why? Why must I do that? That's not a thing that I want to do. Damn kids. Just kidding. I love my children. Most of the time.
When they do their homework.
Yeah. All right. Final thoughts?
Hurry up, baseball season. I'm ready. Start tomorrow. I'm ready.
Let's go. Yep. We shall see how it goes. Again, guys, we are going to be here all throughout the season. Tom is going to be with me for the Astros edition. Kelsey is going to be with me once a week talking about all of the balls. Odds are you're going to be able to check us out on the PSF app. Not quite sure what's going on with that just yet, but those details will be ironed out shortly, hopefully before that season actually starts. I think before the season starts, right, Tom?
Oh yeah, I would say within the next couple weeks we'll be able to tell you more about what we're doing over there. I'm really excited because I think that's the best place to go watch a game if you're not going to go to the game.
This is true. Tom, tell the people where they can find you.
At Third Coast Tom on Twitter. And because my other podcasting buddy that I do a show with gives me such a hard time, you can find me on Instagram at TCTom1. Apparently, I am not putting the Instagram out there, and that is a problem. So, yes, you can find me there.
Do you put a lot of content out on Instagram?
Not at all, but I am there, and you will get content from me if you come to Instagram. It's just apparently it needs to be said. Bourbon and Baseball is on Instagram. Definitely check us out there. I normally post all our stuff over there too.
So, like I said, guys, follow Tom over on Twitter, on Instagram, apparently, and on the PSF app. We will put all of those links when that comes to fruition in the show notes. Give us 5 stars, please, and thank you. Rate us 5 stars. Give us all of the nice words. Great Britain, welcome to the motherfucking chat. Okay, thank you, because we're now charting on the Great Britain Apple podcast charts. Again, I don't know where the fuck you guys are finding us, but I thank you. Like, deep down in my black heart, I deeply, thoroughly enjoy getting that chartable email, opening it up, and seeing that another country has been added to the list. So for like 2 days, we charted on the US charts. Shout out USA peoples. Japan, China, Just kidding. Not China, because they don't listen to things. Japan and Korea. Sorry. Japan, Korea, Spain, all holding it down for us. We have been charting over on those Apple Podcast charts consistently for the last like month. So again, I don't know where you guys are finding that, but I so appreciate you guys listening. I know Tom appreciates it. I know Kelsey appreciates it. So please keep listening, and tell a friend, share the pod. We would love that, because then, if at all possible, some way, somehow, we get paid money to do this, and then we can give better content. I can't promise that. Odds are probably not, but at least then we'll get paid. I'm just saying. So with
So
that,
much honesty.
with that, we are going to end the recording, and yay, baseball. Woo!